This is a film illustrating the work of the Mihai Eminescu Trust, conserving the Saxon villages of Transylvania in the heart of Romania. The film has been made possible through the support of the Iceland, Liechtenstein and Norway European Economic Area Grants Programmes and Shropshire Council in England. Romania is a vast, essentially rural country set at the eastern end of Europe, which underwent great industrialisation under the administration of Nicolae Ceausescu during the latter part of the 20th century. However, whilst the profits of such endeavours may have created civic monuments such as the People's Palace in Bucharest, Ceausescu sought to force through a programme of systematisation whereby large groups of the rural population were forcibly removed from their traditional villages and rehoused in state-built apartment blocks where they provided a labour pool to serve state factories. The Saxon population was particularly affected by this programme, which resulted in the fragmentation of their traditional way of life. Following the fall of communism in 1989, most Saxons returned to Germany after some 800 years, leaving their villages and fortified churches as testament to their extraordinary and enduring way of life. Such is the unique character of these villages that many are now World Heritage Sites, which ironically depict an advanced template for sustainable living in the 21st century. Despite recolonisation by Romanian, Hungarian and the indigenous Roma population, many villages have suffered considerable decay as a result of neglect and the very harsh climate. As Romania now undergoes rapid modernisation, the Mihai Eminescu Trust has embarked upon a programme to help conserve the Saxon villages in a way which can use this heritage as a means for local people to gain an income through conservation projects and sustainable tourism. The objective is to support initiatives which will secure a viable, sustainable model for rural living in this dramatic landscape, which is relevant for today's and future generations of local people. Jessica Douglas-Hume, founder of the Mihai Eminescu Trust, explains the evolution of the Trust and its work in Romania.
I went to visit a famous philosopher called Constantine Neuka, who lived in Sibiu, in the hills just above Sibiu. It was at that moment in 1987 that I first saw. I went alone, drove alone, got up very, very early one morning when all the little carts were on the roads with candlelights. I left at 5 in the morning to reach him by 8. And it was as daylight was coming that I suddenly saw this extraordinary area of Saxon villages. And that was probably 1987, September. He told me of what was happening, the destruction that was happening. Ceausescu had formed a plan of systematization, which came into the highest point of it in 88 and 89, but it was just starting then, connected to the tombs of Sherb and Cantacuzino, which were also being razed to the ground. And that really is how I first came to know of the country, of that area. But it wasn't until 1993 that I did a proper tour of it. It was very hard to travel in those days in Romania in the 80s. Once the wall came down in 89, 90, and then on it was a little bit easier. A lot easier, but the roads were terrible in those days. Much better now. Most things happen successfully in life through personal encounters. The first person and friend I had in a Saxon village was, in fact, Caroline Fernland's mother, Zara. By chance, that was about the 4th village these two friends and I visited. We went into her house, we went into her sitting room. She showed us everything. She lamented the fact that all her children had gone to Germany and she alone was left with her daughter Caroline. Caroline was not there at that time. A year later I met Caroline and we then looked at Visby together and she said, this is the culture that I want to save, these are the buildings. The whole street was becoming dilapidated, her church was in trouble. So we together formed a little emergency package to patch and save the roofs of buildings just to stop the terrible weather getting in on a very, very small scale. From that moment on, over the years, it's developed into the huge trust of all the work we do now in many, many villages. But it started very, very small. Coincidentally, at that moment, Noel, Malcolm and I met this wonderful benefactor in America called David Packard. It was he who said, look, what you're going to do and what you suggest is so important. He had himself actually travelled through Romania once in his life in the 60s, so it was pure luck that he knew the beauty of the area. And he said, I will back the trust, whatever you decide to do. So we had this wonderful 10 years of him being probably the best benefactor any trust has ever had. Quite soon we realised that it wasn't only just one individual building or one individual church that needed restoring, because what is the point of doing one building when all the surroundings could be destroyed or disintegrate or actually be ruined by inappropriate modernisation, which of course sometimes does happen today. So we decided to start something called the Whole Village Project. And it was then that we came across Colin Richards in Shropshire, and with a series of wonderful visits from trainees, from trainers in Shropshire, coming to teach and help and share the experience of proper restoration work. We started a series of programs to build, restore, create, recreate in the proper, appropriate way. So we undertook, with Shropshire Council and under Colin Richards' guidance, a programme where we could exchange skills with those in Shropshire, the restoration experts there, and those in Romania who did know how to do it but had put it to one side, forgotten, or needed retraining in some way. And of course, also starting from scratch. Some became builders and were builders naturally. And it was over a period of 5 years that we got a really comprehensive whole village project going. The first house in Viskry, Colin has wonderful photographs of, where old Frau Fernerland, a 90-year-old woman, pleaded with us to restore her building, and it fell down virtually on top of her, and all over her bedroom and her sitting room and her kitchen. We built the house, rebuilt it again. This is the house that we've actually restored so well that Prince Charles fell in love with it and has now bought it. And it is a guest house. It's a very prominent house in the village, but that was our first one. So over the years the trust has grown and grown. It has become now internationally well known. It has become known by the Romanian government. It has become known by the EU. It is now a model, really, for many other forms of restoration and other villages in other parts of Eastern Europe. One of the most important messages of the Trust is to help people to create their own small businesses and therefore become independent and not part of aid dependency. So in each case we've helped individuals set up their own small businesses and become masters of their own fate. This has probably been happening now for about 20 or 30, 40, 50 people have set up their own businesses, and their skills they then teach to other people. So it's an ongoing process which now gets handed over completely independently from the Trust. And what is exciting at this moment is that we're on the third stage of our foundation, where we're going to hand over everything to Romania. We in Britain, where it started, now will become obsolete because the Romanians themselves have all the skills, all the techniques which they're passing on from village to village. This, of course, does need funding. That is the problem. We can still help them there a little bit, but on the whole, this is now going to come from Romania, partly from the Romanian government, but not that. We can't rely on that. We just do need some more help for the next 10 years.
The Trust is keen to ensure that its work not only maintains the traditional way of living in the Saxon villages, but provides a means for the next generation to build upon this legacy. An important project recently completed in Viskry has involved the construction of a new reed-based sewage system for the village, principally funded by His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales. This allows local people to install modern bathrooms and use washing machines without affecting the pure spring water which flows through the village. The natural filtration created by the reeds is eco-friendly and the first of its type in Romania.
Caroline Fenoland, Vice President from Mihai Minescu Trust. We started to work 11 years ago here in Viskri, in my home village. Now we are working in 25 villages. And we started because it existed a need in our village. We tried through our work to involve local people, to help them to have a better life in preserving the existing heritage. We have many meetings with our villagers to see what they want to do, to try and help them to do the projects what they feel they are important for their community, for them to have a better life. So it was very nice for me to adapt the goals of Mihai Eminescu Trust on the existing needs. This is what we have done since 11 years, and the community in the villages are taking the responsibility for the heritage and for the future. They want to preserve the heritage, and we are developing cultural tourism besides the traditional crafts, and helping people to build a kiln, to do bricks and tiles, to do organic apple juice. We are helping people to be trained in running guest houses, in having their own company or their own small business, in restoration, in carpentry, in plaster. And we are encouraging people to use only local materials in the restoration work and in the tourism. So the tourists here in our villages, they get local organic food, very simple food, and this is what we are encouraging. We are here in, we call this community barn. Here, 2 years ago, at a village meeting, the people asked if we not could use this barn, which was used before to store wheat and corn, to turn it in an official or EU standard kitchen, that the ladies can come and make jam and syrup and all kinds of things what we have here in the village, to sell them, to be able to have a license to be sold here in Romania and maybe also in other countries. And also with these strict EU regulations, our shepherds is not anymore allowed to do the cheese outside in the fields, so it will be one room where all the shepherds will do the cheese, and the people from Viskri with cows. Like this they can have their cows, because now the EU is paying or Romania, not the EU, but because of this regulation, is paying very few for milk, and many people want to sell their cows. So if they do the cheese here, they will get a good price. So, and here upstairs, of course, we will have all things what is needed to have this health and safety permits. And then we will have here a space where we will dry herbs, because on our hills are existing many herbs for all different kind of teas. And we still know, everybody knows which plant is good for this disease or for this illness, or if you cannot sleep, you have to drink St. John's wort or something like this. So the ladies will dry here tea, two other ladies will do some small sacks, some bags from material, and we will sell them like this. And down will be also a little shop for tourists, because we have more and more tourists every year. And so this is a new, very nice project that we are completing now. In our villages, we have very many UNESCO listed monuments. Also the whole village, Viskri and Valea Viilor, is UNESCO listed. And we think that through our work we are preserving a heritage which is lost in other parts of the world, in other parts of Europe. And this heritage is valuable not only for Romania, it is for whole Europe very important to preserve this unique heritage with all the other surrounding things like environment and local breeds and seeds and all these things. So if you would like to help us to be able to continue this work in our villages in Transylvania, we will be very grateful for it.
The Trust works with all ethnic groups in Romania and is keen to celebrate and support local culture and traditions wherever this is possible.
Three weeks. A very good horse.
On the edge of the village of Viskri is a charcoal burners camp. This is an ancient process which today uses oak sourced from sustainably managed forests around the village. It is a very arduous occupation, employing many local people, but it is an important resource, supplying local blacksmiths and small industries nearby. At any one time there are 4 clamps in operation, one being constructed, one burning, one cooling, and one dismantling. It is a very, very skilled process involving the control of oxygen entering into the clamp to ensure that the carbonization of the wood occurs without burning and so losing this valuable material. The burning occurs between April and October each year. Over the past 20 years, the Mihai Eminescu Trust has worked closely with British conservation professionals to undertake joint projects repairing the ancient village fabric in many settlements. The underlying ethos is that if the craftsmen from Britain and Romania work alongside each other, a skills transfer can occur, as participants share the endeavour of restoration and repair work and learn from each other. This skills transfer is a two-way exchange and life-enhancing for all involved. The projects involve craftsmen of all ages, thus making it a true lifelong learning experience. One such project was the construction of a new bridge to link 2 sides of the village which had become separated through the build-up of River Silt.
Good!
Așa! Basically the că nu filmați, că după aceea trece singură. Gheorghe, mai treci odată, că acum treci.
Many buildings suffer settlement and require underpinning to ensure their future survival.
Health and safety was paramount and the barn was braced from all sides.
Sorry? The shoulder on the brace now.
Yeah.
The Trust are particularly keen to undertake workshops which demonstrate the skills of conservation as opposed to replacement. This ensures the maximum retention of historic fabric.
Harder.
Okay. Yeah, go on. Okay.
These projects have achieved a level of skills transfer which have created local teams of villagers capable of undertaking some of the most complex restoration projects which can occur in the historic settlement. Whilst the Trust has embarked upon an ambitious training programme for local villagers to repair their historic buildings, the supply of traditional materials can often be difficult. The original was handmade and possessed a quality not found in machine-made alternatives. Handmade bricks and tiles were in very short supply, and so the Trust commissioned Colin Richards to design and head the construction of kilns at Viscree and Mallincraft. The work resulted in the setting up of a local industry which provides employment for some 12 local people in each village. In Viscree, Colin helped Georgi learn the skills of brick and tile making, and thereafter the specialist firing techniques needed to achieve temperatures of approximately 1000 degrees centigrade. The kiln was located on the edge of woodland adjacent to the village, where the Saxons originally sourced their clay. The whole process uses local raw materials, and the bricks and tiles are dried under the summer sun before firing. Locally sourced acacia is used for the firing and comes from sustainably managed woodland. The heat of the fires is often utilised by itinerant blacksmiths. Some 60,000 tiles and 50,000 bricks are produced annually in the Trust's own kilns and are used to supply their busy restoration programme, which now extends across a 500 square mile area of Transylvania.
De afară, de unde le avem la uscat, le băgăm aici înăuntru. Bolta o facem din 4.000 de cărămizi. După ce am ajuns la 4.000, ardem mai mult. Dacă e timpul mai cald, ardem mai puțin. Cred că așa este, așa și este.
Tu ești la făcut, dar ați spus-o?
Așa. Asta. Sună foarte bine. Și ciuc și mărgini. Frumos. Și asta.
The quest to maintain the sustainability of local materials production is ongoing, and has now included the construction of a test kiln at Viscree, which is capable of firing local clay to test different sources for brick and tile production, and also to fire local limestones to produce quicklime for building restoration work. The kiln can reproduce the characteristics of the large kilns, but on a much smaller scale, so minimizing the risk of failure in the brick and tile industries. Local villagers identified the potential of the kiln to make terracotta fridge magnets depicting the traditional village houses and the fortified church. They now proudly sell these artifacts to visitors. Following the successful testing of local materials, the Trust commissioned Colin Richards to design and head the construction of. As the brick and tile project has developed considerably, the Trust, in partnership with Shropshire craftsmen, helped Georgi to construct a new house for him and his family.
Take that back there. Can you get this log under? Yeah. What on earth is that creature?
Mai? Bun?
What's wrong with it?
Yeah?
It's too tight.
No problem. Bun. Bun casă, bun.
Proud.
E bucuros.
Yeah.
E bucuros.
Da.
Bun
Very
casă.
proud.
The timber frame was lined with sheep's wool and clad with bricks from the kiln. The support and initiatives of the MET are much in demand within the Saxon villages, and new village projects are embraced with much enthusiasm locally. In Alma V, near Mediash, a carpentry workshop with Shropshire craftsmen has resulted in the repair of a number of local structures, and it has also produced a demand for the Trust to provide English lessons for local people.
Can't we? Yeah. But then lift it up as far as we can. Yeah. But also get it in line so that we're setting that thing. That's right. And then we can just drop it on.
Have the simple timber which is degraded, we're replacing that. So we're trying to keep as much of the original as possible, and things such as this where you have all the decoration are very important in terms of the overall value of the piece.
No.
This is one of the panels that we made in the workshop, and basically it's got some detail in the corners which I'm trying to match with an old one, which we'll use a sort of a gouging chisel to get the round, and then some of the smaller ones in the middle here, I've got quite a decorative panel. So you know, if you look at this other door, make that in the workshop, which would be quite interesting. I'm sure we'll manage to achieve. As you can see, there's quite a pattern in that, which we had intentions of making a template out of paper or card or something like that. But while we were having lunch, as we come down after lunch to the workshop, we'd find that Mick had made a template out of glass, which is pretty extraordinary really, but it works an absolute treat, and now he's got the template for repairing other gates with similar patterns. And I think the reason why he made this template was because he wanted to do it himself, and that is probably the whole reason why we're here, is because he wants to learn. You know, he's the first to sort of take a chisel off us because he wants to do it, and I think they look absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Scoate-le în afară! Scoate-le, ridică mână!
It's pretty manky stuff.
Yeah, mai cu metri, mai.
Acum nu trebuie să fac cu de-aia. Care și cu șmirgălă și cu... E bun, acum.
Dorin?
Ja.
Hammer, ping! Ăsta să-l luăm. Mai dă sigur?
Small door that fits in to the huge sort of tunnel entry door. This is the door they'll be using every day to get in and out to save opening the big doors. And so I'm trying to save as much of it as I can, but there wasn't a great deal of it that could save. But say it should be a good sturdy door when it's finished. Gobsmacked by the place. I think it's amazing. I love the place.
A very close bond is often established as the English craftsmen are irresistibly drawn in to village recreation. The ancient citadel fortress of Sighișoara is a dramatic reminder of the power and culture of previous generations of Romanian citizens. It is now a principal visitor attraction in Transilvania. The trust has offices adjacent to the Conservarea or Furrier's Tower along the defensive walls. The tower had suffered degradation of its render coating and roof. The Trust decided to use the repair program as a training workshop in the use of lime renders and carpentry skills. A new external gallery was created which will provide access to a museum of architectural items which can provide a pattern for restoration work where the original material has been lost or damaged. Local Mayor Mr. Dorin Denessen was particularly supportive of the project and of the importance of the work of the Mihai Eminescu Trust in conserving the unique architectural heritage of Romania.
Și cu atât mai mult pentru această lucrare care e în curs de finalizare.
And this work here is one of our key projects that we're happy about.
Pentru că ajutorul mare vine de la cunoștințele dânșilor în materie de restaurare a monumente istorice.
An important thing for us is that we have this knowledge transfer from this foreign team.
Ceea ce noi nu prea excelăm.
And this is an area where we need support and still training.
Dar ne bucurăm foarte mult că învață și meseriașii noștri această artă.
So it is particularly important for us that our younger craftsmen learn this art.
Și am fi foarte bucuroși dacă ar putea să ne sprijine și în proiectul viitor.
And we would be very happy to extend this collaboration to future projects.